The Great Wall of China snakes across the land. It is a site of immense power and enduring mystery. Many people across the globe refer to it metaphorically as a colossal dragon. Its vast stone body winds impressively over towering mountains and stretches across arid deserts. For many centuries, this monumental structure has captured the imagination of people from all corners of the world. It speaks silently of ancient emperors, powerful dynasties, and forgotten battles fought long ago. The wall is far more than just an assembly of stones and bricks. It is a profound story, etched deeply into the very landscape of China, a striking testament to human ambition, incredible endurance, and remarkable engineering skill. Its very presence evokes a deep sense of awe, a feeling of tangible connection to a past that is both incredibly distant and surprisingly palpable. The sheer, almost unbelievable scale of it consistently challenges our modern understanding of what human beings are capable of achieving. Seen from a distance, the Great Wall often looks like a delicate ribbon draped across the contours of the earth. However, this ribbon stretches for thousands upon thousands of miles. It is, without any doubt, one of the most famous and recognizable structures ever built by human hands. Many fascinating tales and enduring legends surround its creation and its long history. For instance, some people still say that you can see it clearly from the moon with the naked eye, though this popular belief is not scientifically accurate. Yet its undeniable earthly grandeur is absolutely indisputable. It stands as a powerful and enduring symbol of China's incredibly long, rich, and often complex history. The mystery of the wall lies not just in its astonishing length, but also in the countless human lives that were poured into its making. The many generations of individuals who toiled tirelessly under incredibly harsh and unforgiving conditions to bring it into existence. It stands silent and majestic, diligently guarding its ancient secrets. The Great Wall of China was not constructed in a single day, nor even in a single century. Its creation spanned many, many centuries of intermittent effort. Different imperial dynasties, each with their own motivations and facing their own unique threats, added new sections to it or reinforced older parts. Consequently, each distinct section of the wall tells a different story, reflecting the specific historical context of its time. It was primarily built to protect the agricultural heartland of China from external threats. It was conceived as a formidable line of demarcation between the settled agrarian society of the Chinese Empire and the wild, untamed steppes to the north. A land of nomadic peoples, it represented a deep-seated imperial desire for order, stability, and security in a dangerous world. But it was also a clear and unambiguous statement of imperial power, a visible declaration of the empire's might and its unwavering determination to define its borders and control its own destiny. The wall thus became a physical embodiment of the traditional Chinese worldview, effectively separating civilization from what imperial authorities often perceived as the barbarous lands beyond. Building such an immense and sprawling wall was an absolutely huge and daunting task. It required an incredible and almost unimaginable amount of effort, resources, and meticulous planning. Millions of people from various walks of life worked on its construction over the centuries. Tragically, a great many of these laborers died during its construction due to accidents, disease, exhaustion, or malnutrition. Their individual stories, their personal sacrifices are often lost to the vastness of time, overshadowed by the sheer scale of the monument itself. The Great Wall is therefore not just a magnificent triumph of ancient engineering and logistical prowess, it is also, and perhaps more poignantly, a somber monument to immense human suffering and profound sacrifice. Understanding the true essence of the Great Wall means looking beyond the impressive physical structure to the complex human drama that unfolded along its vast expanse over many, many centuries. A continuous drama of defense, grueling labor, imperial will, and the unending quest for security. The fundamental idea of building defensive walls in the land we now call China is extremely old. It did not suddenly begin with one particular emperor or a single grand vision. Long before China was unified into a single cohesive country, various smaller states and principalities constructed their own walls. They built these fortifications primarily to protect their own specific lands and populations from rival states or marauding groups. These early walls were often made of packed earth, a technique known as rammed earth or pies, and sometimes incorporated local stone or wood. They were generally simpler and less extensive than the sections of the Great Wall that are most famous today. These early fortifications were essentially pragmatic responses to immediate local threats. They were the first tentative attempts by settled communities to create physical barriers against frequent raids and larger-scale invasions. This long-standing practice of wall building laid the crucial groundwork and provided the necessary experience for the much larger, more ambitious projects that would follow, as powerful empires rose and sought to consolidate their control over vast territories. The first truly major imperial effort to link many of these existing disparate walls into a more unified defensive system came with the rise of Qin Shi Huang. He was the formidable first emperor of China, the man credited with unifying the warring states around 221 BC. Once he had consolidated his power and established the Qin dynasty, he turned his attention to securing the northern frontier of his new empire. He therefore ordered the connection, extension, and strengthening of existing defensive walls. This ambitious project marked the true beginning of what we now commonly refer to as the Great Wall. His vision was characteristically grand and autocratic, a single, massive, and continuous barrier to protect his realm. This was a monumental undertaking, driven by an urgent desire to secure his newly forged empire against the persistent threat posed by the Xiongnu tribes from the north, who were fierce nomadic warriors renowned for their equestrian skills. The primary and most pressing reason for the construction of the Qin Wall was undoubtedly defense. Various nomadic and semi-nomadic tribes lived in the vast steppe lands to the north of agricultural China. Among these, the Xiongnu Confederation was a particularly powerful and troublesome group during the Qin and later Han dynasties. They frequently launched swift and devastating raids into Chinese settlements, plundering resources and capturing people. They were highly skilled horsemen and formidable warriors, presenting a constant challenge to the stability and security of the fledgling Chinese empire. The wall was therefore intended to serve as a significant physical barrier to their lightning-fast cavalry attacks. It was also meant to act as a clear and unambiguous demarcation of territory, a line that the northern tribes were explicitly warned not to cross, thereby reinforcing the emperor's authority and control over his domain. After the relatively short-lived Qin dynasty collapsed, subsequent Chinese dynasties continued the arduous work of building, maintaining, and extending the Great Wall. The Han dynasty, which ruled from 206 BC to 220 AD, for instance, significantly expanded and repaired the wall. They pushed its ramparts further west into the Gobi Desert. This westward extension served a dual purpose. Not only did it provide defense against nomadic incursions, but it also helped to protect the increasingly important Silk Road trade routes, which were vital for commerce and cultural exchange. Much later, it was the Ming dynasty, from 1368 to 1644 AD, that built the most substantial, technologically advanced and well-preserved sections of the Great Wall that we see today. These are the iconic stone and brick structures studded with imposing watchtowers that many international visitors come to admire. Each historical era faced its own specific threats and strategic priorities, and each adapted the wall to its particular defensive needs, clearly demonstrating its continuous strategic importance over many centuries. The Ming rulers in particular were deeply concerned about a potential resurgence of Mongol power, similar to the one that had previously conquered China. The specific materials used to construct the Great Wall varied considerably along its immense length. This variation was largely dictated by the local landscape and the availability of resources in different regions. In rugged mountainous areas, for example, workers predominantly used large, locally quarried stones to build the foundations and facings of the wall. On the vast, flat plains where stone was scarce, they often resorted to using packed earth created by tamping layers of soil and gravel between wooden frames, or they manufactured sun-dried mud bricks. During the later Ming dynasty, a significant innovation was the widespread establishment of kilns all along the wall's construction path. These kilns produced vast quantities of strong grey bricks and curved roof tiles, which were then used to create more durable and sophisticated fortifications. These fired bricks were often stronger, more weather-resistant, and more uniform than many of the earlier materials. The builders consistently showed great resourcefulness and adaptability, skillfully tailoring their methods to whatever materials were readily available, which ultimately resulted in the wall becoming a fascinating mosaic of different construction styles and diverse substances across its vast and sprawling length. Building the Great Wall was an incredibly difficult and often perilous undertaking. The workers involved had to transport enormous quantities of heavy materials, such as stone blocks, bricks, earth and timber, often over very challenging terrain. They frequently carried these burdens up steep, treacherous mountain slopes or across inhospitable desert landscapes. The tools they used were generally simple by modern standards, items like baskets, ropes, wooden poles, and basic wheelbarrows. Sometimes, particularly for moving heavy stones or large amounts of earth up inclines, they formed long human chains to pass materials from one person to the next. Strategically placed guard towers, also known as watchtowers, were constructed at regular intervals along the wall. These towers were crucial for observation, for housing garrisons of soldiers, and for signaling enemy movements. The logistical challenges of supplying food, clean water, tools, and building materials to the numerous, often remote construction sites were a constant and monumental struggle, frequently stretching the empire's administrative capabilities and resources to their absolute limits. Who exactly were the people who built the Great Wall? The answer is that millions of individuals from diverse backgrounds were involved in this colossal project over the many centuries of its construction. Soldiers, particularly those garrisoned at the frontier, formed a large and consistent part of the workforce. They were often tasked with both defending the border and participating in construction or repair work. Ordinary common people, primarily peasants, were also frequently conscripted to work on the wall. This labor was often a form of tax payment or compulsory labor service owed to the state. Furthermore, convicts, prisoners of war, and other individuals who had fallen afoul of the law were also regularly sent to toil on the wall as a form of punishment. The working conditions for all these groups were almost invariably harsh and dangerous. Many workers tragically died from construction accidents, sheer exhaustion from the relentless labor, widespread disease, or inadequate nutrition. This immense human cost is a somber and unavoidable aspect of the Great Wall's long history, often leading to its poignant and tragic nickname as the longest cemetery on Earth. The Great Wall of China traverses an incredibly diverse range of terrains. It climbs over extremely high and precipitous mountain ridges, some of which are almost impassable. It cuts sharply through deep and shadowy valleys. It also stretches for long distances across barren, windswept deserts where water is scarce and temperatures can be extreme. Building effectively in these varied and often hostile environments was a truly huge engineering feat, especially given the technology available at the time. Workers constantly faced extreme weather conditions, biting freezing cold in the northern winters and scorching, dehydrating heat in the summer months. The sheer, almost unimaginable scale of the entire project was virtually unprecedented in human history up to that point. Organizing, feeding, and managing such a vast and geographically dispersed workforce over such an enormous distance required immense administrative effort and sophisticated organizational skills from imperial officials. Each individual section of the wall presented its own unique set of challenges, from the difficulty of securing stable foundations on shifting desert sands to the arduous task of quarrying and transporting heavy stone in remote, inaccessible mountain ranges. The primary and overriding purpose of the Great Wall, throughout its many centuries of construction and use, was always defense. It was meticulously designed and laboriously built to protect the agricultural heartland of China and its settled population from the frequent incursions of nomadic peoples and other potential invaders from the north and west. It was not, however, generally intended to be an entirely impassable barrier that could halt any and all enemy forces indefinitely. Instead, it functioned more as a complex and sophisticated system of integrated fortifications. Its main roles were to slow down attackers, to channel their movements into predictable areas where they could be more easily countered, and critically, to provide Chinese armies with valuable time to mobilize and respond effectively. The numerous watchtowers, strategically positioned along its length, allowed soldiers to see enemy forces approaching from a great distance. They could then rapidly send signals, often using smoke during the day or fire at night, to alert other towers and garrisons further along the line. The wall was, in essence, a crucial strategic tool designed to provide an early warning system and to manage the vast frontiers of the empire. Beyond its primary military function, the Great Wall also served several other important secondary purposes. It significantly helped imperial authorities to control the borders of the empire. It facilitated the regulation of trade, particularly along key routes such as the famous Silk Road, which passed through or near sections of the wall. Custom posts and fortified gates were strategically established at various points along the wall. These checkpoints allowed government officials to monitor and tax goods that were being imported into or exported from China. Furthermore, the wall also served as a vital communication line. As mentioned, signals could be passed quickly from one watchtower to the next, relaying messages over very long distances in a relatively short amount of time. This rapid communication system was invaluable for coordinating defenses, for transmitting imperial decrees, and for generally managing the vast and often turbulent frontier regions, thereby helping to assert and maintain imperial authority over distant territories. It is important to understand that the Great Wall of China is not one single, unbroken, continuous wall. Rather, it is a complex and extensive series of walls, fortifications, and natural defensive barriers that were built, rebuilt, and extended by various dynasties over a period of more than 2,000 years. Some sections of the wall run parallel to each other, offering layered defenses. Other sections are disconnected or were perhaps connected by natural features like rivers or impassable mountains. Its total cumulative length is still a subject of some debate among historians and archaeologists. Current estimates, which aim to include all known branches, trenches, and incorporated natural barriers like hills and rivers, range from approximately 13,000 kilometers, around 8,000 miles, to over an astonishing 21,000 kilometers, about 13,000 miles. As previously mentioned, the popular notion that the Great Wall is easily visible from the moon with the naked eye is a persistent myth, but its monumental presence on Earth is undeniably awe-inspiring and historically significant. Today, the Great Wall of China stands as an immensely powerful and globally recognized symbol. It vividly represents China's enduring strength, its rich cultural heritage, and its incredibly long and influential history. It has been rightfully designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, acknowledging its outstanding universal value to humanity. Millions of tourists, both domestic and international, visit various sections of the wall every year. They come to marvel at its breathtaking scale, its intricate construction, and the stunning beauty of the landscapes it traverses. The Great Wall serves as a profound reminder of the remarkable achievements of past civilizations. Simultaneously, it also reminds us of the immense human cost, the sacrifice and suffering that was often involved in the creation of such grand and ambitious projects. It stands as an enduring monument not only to the ingenuity and perseverance of the people who built it, but also, at times, to the ruthlessness of the empires that commanded its construction, leaving a lasting and complex legacy for China and for the entire world to contemplate.